Good afternoon, everybody. Seems like I just talked to all of you, but that's good because I like talking to you guys. Even though we talk about cases like this. So let's see who's in here. Ellen H., new member. Penguin and Pals, new member. Hello, Aggie. Eileen, hi. DT Driver, hello. Hello, my friend Kat. Superior Dreams, did you have a good cat nap? I'm going to assume that was not aimed at me, but whoever it was, I think I know who it is. I hope they did. Hope they did. Juicy Tequila Bobo, hello, my friend. How are you? Hey, Deb. The Real Sharon, how are you? Hi, Katie. Katie Bird. Yep, Celeste. I love that. Back for round 2. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Hello, Pat. Annette Thompson, how are you? Robin Payne, his disappearance tattoos changed. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, my friend. We are. Hello, Angela. Hello. We got some new names in here, you guys. Hit that sub button. Get comfy and get to know everybody. We're a nice crowd, and we try to keep things as light as possible. Hello, Sarah. Hi, Poppy. Casey. Hey, hon, I missed you this morning. Ruby, I missed you this morning, unless I missed you in chat, and that's happened. Dodging Bullets, hello. Cheryl, hello. Joanne, hello. J-Mom, hi from Oklahoma. Well, hi from Oklahoma, too. I'm from Oklahoma. Hey, Clark. There you are, my friend. Bismo, good morning. Good afternoon. So if I missed somebody, I apologize. Well, one is from Oklahoma, too. Looks like we're going to have to, instead of having it at Kevin's house, we'll do our Crime Lines and Lies family reunion in Oklahoma. We got a bunch of people from Oklahoma. Anyway, so what's everybody doing? It's lunchtime. I got to put this up. Nubian. You're right. What's going on with these people? That's what I'm saying. That is exactly what I'm saying. It's rinse and repeat. You know, we just did a show about Don and Candace and how they've ruined 8 lives, probably more than that, but the ones that they were responsible for, as in their kids, they have. Oh, Sarah, hang on. She said, I always listen in, but I'm in the UK, so it's always school run time. Glad to be catching with you with free hands. Well, I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. Glad you are. Leanne says Scotland checking in. So anyway, sorry to break my concentration, but you guys know how I am. This is really, really bothering me. Every one of these cases bothers me. Okay? Every one of them. But this is just ridiculous. 2 years she's been missing? Can you guys think of any other cases where a child has been missing for 2 years? Yeah, we know. I mean, we've heard of, Kaylee Anthony. 30 days, unacceptable. Evelyn Boswell, 30 days, unacceptable. Oakley Carlson, almost a year, unacceptable. It's a sad day in America when Don and Candace actually did the right thing. But Harmony has been missing for 2 years, and no one reported it until late last month. I want to say late December. An email was sent to the mayor of Manchester, New Hampshire, and the authorities were alerted. Now, supposedly her mother, and I'll get to her in a minute, supposedly her mother sent the email. I don't know. I'm getting conflicting information on that end, so I'm not sure. Now, law enforcement won't confirm, but a relative is saying that Harmony is with her father, her bio dad, Adam Montgomery, and that over time, he has blocked the family on social media, changed his number. Now, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but the father was arrested today. Not for anything to do with Harmony, though. So we'll get to that. So again, we can agree this is an ongoing problem. If you don't report your child missing, that should automatically be a crime. So I'm going to put the dad up real quick. Then we're going to talk about the mom, not to the mom, because I don't want to talk to the mom. I got a lot of reasons I don't want to talk to the mom. Give me a second. All right, so this is the dad. And real quick, there's no Amber Alert. There's no Amber Alert. Sharon said, Aisha Degree has been missing for 22 years. Oh, yeah, there's children that have been missing for 20, 30 years. I'm saying in the time it took for their parents to report them missing. Someone brought up JonBenet Ramsey. She was reported missing, the next morning. But this has been 2 years. No one has laid eyes on Harmony since October of 2019. And she was not reported missing. She has a beautiful name. Beautiful, beautiful little girl. So my question is she missing or is she being hid by the father? The father's in jail now on an outstanding warrant. Okay, so a little backstory. Both her parents had drug issues. The dad was in jail for a while, besides today. We'll get to that. The mother had 2 children. Her name is Crystal Renee Sorey. So she has Harmony and Jameson. Both of her children were in foster care. Jameson was adopted by a news anchor out of Washington, D.C. He adopted Jameson, but not Harmony. And he's been asked about this many times. And the reason being is because they said that Harmony had been reconnected with her family, which is this piece of shit on the screen. So, I mean, people, you know how the internet is. They've really been giving him a hard time. Like, why did you take Jameson and not Harmony? Well, he explained it. He couldn't because they were putting Harmony back with her father. And so since she was being reunified with her father, she couldn't be adopted out by the news anchor and his husband. They could only adopt Jameson. So now we get to Crystal. Hang on one second. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Crystal lives in Tampa, Florida. I can only guess how she lost custody of Harmony and Jameson. I don't know who Jameson's father is. Obviously, he's not in contact. Crystal has said that she has been trying to get a hold of authorities to find Harmony. Now, the thing is, she didn't really have any information because she lives in Florida and Harmony lives in New Hampshire. So she does have this on her Facebook. There's a picture. I guess, yeah, there's Harmony. She has a new child. It says, taken, mother of 3. We do recover. Everything happens for a reason. God is good. Bring Harmony home. She's got all of this public. She had a lot of public posts yesterday, I believe. And she took them all down. And she was getting harassed really bad by people. I mean, probably because they could see that, she's talking a lot about her new life and her new child and, her recovery. She won't answer exactly why they were in foster care. It's more about her. And she's got a few other Facebook profiles, but that seems to be the main one. And this reminds me a lot. A few weeks ago, we talked about Oakley Carlson, and she was taken out of foster care and put back with her family. Now, mind you, they said now that her parents actually told her siblings that she was eaten by wolves. And so they're trying to implement something in Washington state where there's a follow-up system for CPS. When a child is removed from foster care, there's a like a checkpoint system where they make sure they're really in good hands. And I might answer this really quick. You mean to tell me that no one in their immediate family with any sense wondered where this sweet little girl is? I guess a few did, and we're going to get into that momentarily. Adam's uncle, I'm not going to put his name out here, but he's talked to a few people. He actually talked to the Daily Mail, and he said that Adam was 5 years sober, that he jumped through hoops to get custody of Harmony. He did everything they asked. He was in jail for a while before. We're not shocked. Adam started visiting her in February or March for reunification. He couldn't quite remember when it was, but that's what he said. He did say Adam missed one visit, but it was excused because of weather. Okay, Crystal, we just saw her on the screen. Crystal, she's the one down in Tampa she's remarried, new baby, and talking about how it's God's good and it's great that she's in recovery and everything. She did not make any visits, and so she was not considered for custody, reunification, or anything. But now the uncle said that within 30 days, his mother, not Adam's mother, but his mother, was having big arguments with Adam for excessive punishment. Like he would leave Harmony in the corner too long. He witnessed a black eye. I'm sure she was a handful for a lot of reasons. She was bounced around, was not in the custody of her parents, not in her own home, had to leave her brother, who that's really the only security she knew. So I'm sure he had a hard time dealing with her. No excuse. None. He goes on to say, now this is Adam's uncle, that Adam started exhibiting addict behavior. I don't know what kind of trained eye he has, but that's what he said. Again, he talks about the black eye. He said he noticed Adam's sheets being burnt and burn spots on a spoon. He called Child Protective Services in New Hampshire, and from there, Adam cut him out of communication. He did say, and I'm going to bring someone up that's going to help us with this because I don't believe it, that Child Protective Services did call him for a follow-up and said that they went and they visited with Adam and they saw Harmony and said there was nothing wrong with her. I just don't believe anyone called him. But I'm going to bring up someone that can tell us. I'm going to bring up Aaron real quick. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm good. Is the volume okay?
Oh, the volume's perfect, hon.
All right, perfect.
Did you get all that? It's a lot to put out all at once.
Oh, I heard all of that. Yep.
So don't dox yourself, but you are a social worker.
Right. I'm actually a child advocate. I work with at-risk families.
Mhm.
My background is in family therapy, but I work with specifically kids, at-risk families who are in DCYF, who directly with the families on treatment plans, case plans. So if a father was trying to get rights to his child back, I am literally the one that's there at least once a week, probably 3 times a week, sometimes in an ISO situation, which this would be every day, literally in that house, working with dad in harmony to get rights back. So,
Let
and
me
I,
ask you this. Does it make sense that just what I went through, because I'm going through what the uncle said, some adds up, some doesn't. Okay, so
right.
for one, okay, so he said that Adam missed one visit because of weather. I'm assuming that's an excuse. That's an excuse, right?
It's not only an excuse, but it's fair. New Hampshire,
Okay.
especially this time of year, I mean, like right now, the roads are awful. So, in an ongoing case, when a parent loses custody or kids are put into foster care, even temporarily, it's a year-long reunification process. And I do live in New Hampshire, you guys, so I'm 12 minutes away from all of this. This is not in my county. Where the county line splits, I'm lucky because this isn't in my county. At the same time, I'm not sure I'm lucky because I would love to be able to help, but I can tell you exactly how it works in the state. And in the state of New Hampshire, I don't know if this is true all over the country. They have a year to either get rights back to their kid or have their parental rights terminated. So when a family gets involved with DCYF, a person will come in usually within a week, very quickly, and
Hmm.
they will start working with the parents so that the parents can get their rights back.
Okay, in
A
this
lot
case,
of
it
people,
was parent because Crystal did not cooperate. Now, I'm going to stop you right there because I'm looking at this timeline. The
yeah,
uncle said this started in February of 2019. So at some point, between, I don't know when he got custody of Harmony, but the last time she was seen by anybody was October of 2019. So he's got to be wrong on his dates because you're saying it's a year-long process.
yes and no, because we don't know enough. We don't know if he lost rights. When you have parents that are not together, the
Hmm.
mother could have lost all rights. Okay, so now she wouldn't even be getting information on Harmony. It would be like if a parent loses rights, they lose rights. They do not get updates. They don't get told how the kid's doing. Nothing. They are out of the picture completely. It's very serious. It's like they have zero right to information, anything. Her mother, if she lost rights of Harmony, would have as little information as you and I would have. So what it could be is that dad was in jail. I don't know. I'm just
But
learning
would
about
he
this
lose
recently.
parental rights being in jail?
No,
Okay.
I drive kids to jails every day to see a parent.
Okay.
So what could have happened is mom lost rights, and then a permanency placement plan was put into action. So they said, well, dad's in jail, but he's only got, remember guys, I don't know any, I'm just giving you a hypothetical, but dad's in jail. So we're going to look at him as the next logical choice. He is the next legal choice. I mean, we have to look at the other biological parent next. So let's pretend dad's in there on a minor drug charge and everybody at the jail is telling us he's doing better, he's fine. We're going to get him into a treatment plan so that he can get custody with Harmony. Meantime, she's going to stay in foster care. We're going to start bringing her to the jail. He is going to meet with her in the family visitation room once every 2 weeks. This would be pretty typical, by the way, which I know is awful. You've got kids in a jail visitation room, but hey, I don't make the rules. I just do what I'm supposed to do. So you're taking them there. You're meeting with them sometimes without Harmony. You're meeting with them with Harmony. You're working on a parenting plan. You're setting up supports. So like, where are you going to live? How are you going to not go back to using? Those type of things are being done. So
Okay.
dad is saying, I want rights back to this kid when I get out. And it's our job to then go in and try to help him get back rights. While
Okay.
Harmony's mother is completely not even a parent now to this child legally. So that could have been the case. And that is my guess. And I don't know. I don't know that the timelines, I think the timeline might be right. But because it's not one for all. You can have one parent who's completely not even interested in getting the child back, and another parent who's falling over backwards to get the kid back. So you can't push them together. Even married parents will have different reactions. So, yeah.
Okay, because she didn't go to any of her visits. I don't know if you can do Zoom calls. I mean, I'm assuming reunification needs to be done one-on-one because she's in Florida.
Okay, so she didn't. Wow.
Uh-huh.
She just blew. That's why she lost rights. That's my guess.
Okay.
If you have a treatment plan with visitation, whether it's virtual, which is not as common, we have safe visitation centers, but we'll say that she's wow. If she didn't go to visitations, her rights could be terminated as quickly as 3 months. When we have a parent who's completely not interested, not engaged, not meeting with the case worker, not doing a single treatment plan goal, and sometimes they will overtly say, which I actually appreciate because it makes everyone save their time. They will say, I don't want my rights back. Fuck off. Slam
Mhm.
the door in your face. And you're like, okay, cool. Let's find a great foster home with the potential for adoption. Because at that point, if you don't have another parent, you're looking for a permanent happy house for this kid. In this situation, say that happened, we are now stuck with, but legally, see, there's this thing, everyone wants to be mad at DCUAF, and I'm mad at DCUAF right now myself. But everyone wants to just assume it's DCUF didn't do their job. The problem is the damn law above our head. Legally, we have to say, okay, dad is the next one. We have no choice. We have to look at him as a possible parent. When in doubt, the law is you keep parents with biological or adopted, whatever, but you keep parents with their kids, period.
Mhm.
That is the law. Even though it's killing you to do it, even though you know this is not good. So the only thing you can do as the worker now is give that parent every level of support humanly possible and stay on top of them.
And you
I've
hope
shown
it's
up
going to
at
turn out
people's
right. I'm
houses.
sure it tears you up. I'm sure it tears your gut up to have to see these children. We've talked at length and what you have to see and what I mean to turn a child over. And in this case, something went terribly, terribly wrong. Because is there not any, I mean, there's got to be some kind of level of privacy that once you do all the work and you get your child back, Big Brother doesn't knock on your door anymore. And and I hate to point out the elephant in the room, but I'm really tired of hearing about the government being the parent. The parents are the ultimate failures here. I'm sorry that they hit that rocky road of addiction. I'm sorry. It takes a village to raise a child. So when you decided to go down to Florida, find a new husband, work on your tan, and talk about how you're celebrating recovery, you should have gotten a post it note and a pencil and wrote down, oh, but I've got 2 kids too. And
Right.
now the mother is all over social media, except for the stuff she took down, talking about how she was failed. People are hating on her. People need to leave her alone. They're chasing this story for clout. The ones that say that are the guiltiest. And I'm going to
Yep.
tell you why right now, because they know they messed up. I've got no sympathy for this woman, and I
No.
mean none.
Oh, I don't either. And someone in the chat is saying that they think she signed over her rights, which is I would really guess that myself. Someone else is saying, well, why didn't they just give Harmony to the adoptive dad? It's that law. We have to offer rights, the chance to get rights to the biological father first. If he had said, no, thank you, I don't want that, the social worker would have done a quick casual dance outside the building where no one was watching and instantly called the newsacre guy and said, listen, we need you to take this kid. And then away we would go. The kid would, she would be
Mhm.
fine and happy and off with her brother. Because that's the other thing. We try to keep biological siblings together. I'm assuming these guys had different dads. These 2 kids had different dads.
I believe
And
they
this,
have 2 different fathers. I
yeah.
don't know anything about Jameson's father. Obviously, he's an imbecile too. Um,
Or he
and
may not even know he's a father. A lot of times they don't know who the father is. That happens a lot. So it's
I,
possible Jameson's father is unknown and not
and I
listed on the
have a
birth certificate.
very hard time believing that Crystal has been calling um, the authorities in New Hampshire for 2 years. She had no rights anyway. But now she's saying she's been doing this the whole time, and so's the uncle. I'm not going to call him a liar. It just doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah.
when the mayor in Manchester got the email, they did start working fast, and they arrested Adam yesterday. The chief of police, Chief Alderman, he said this is not a recovery. They're treating this as though Harmony's alive and they're going to find her. I think this might have changed since they arrested Adam. I'm going to read this really quick. All right, Manchester, New Hampshire. Adam Montgomery, the father of missing 7-year-old Manchester, New Hampshire girl Harmony Montgomery, is now facing several charges as investigators released new information in the case Wednesday. Montgomery was arrested Tuesday and charged with felony second-degree assault stemming from alleged 2019 conduct against Harmony. He is also facing a misdemeanor charge of interference with custody and 2 misdemeanor counts of endangering the welfare of a child. He was scheduled to be arraigned Wednesday afternoon in Hillsborough County Superior Court, but attorneys arranged for him to be held without bail, and the hearing was not held. He is not charged in his daughter's disappearance at this point. Okay, so my question is, let me look at this. According to court records released Wednesday, Manchester police got a call on November 18th from Harmony's mother, Crystal, saying her daughter was missing and that the girl's father had custody of her. Police reached out to DCYF, which started a search for Adam Montgomery. They told police on December 27th they couldn't find him, so detectives started searching for him. Now, I know last weekend they went to his last known residence, and there's new people occupying the house, and they were actually like digging up the backyard. Investigators later learned that Harmony had not been physically seen since October or November 2019, according to the affidavit filed Wednesday. It says Sori, who lives in Lowell, lost custody of Harmony in July of 2018, in part due to a substance abuse issue. According to her, she lives in Florida. So if she's living in Lowell, which is that's Massachusetts, right?
Right, that's Mass.
She could have been driving to see her daughter for reunification.
Yeah,
Crystal said that both she and Adam had past issues with substance abuse. Since then, Sori told authorities she got sober. She loves patting her back on that, adding that she last saw her daughter during a FaceTime video call around Easter in 2019, and that Harmony seemed frightened. I got a big problem with that. A FaceTime call, Easter of 2019, and we didn't start making moves until November of 2021. Am I wrong? Guys, if I'm wrong, tell me.
Well, here's where you could be wrong. Not wrong. You're not wrong, trust me. But how do we know she didn't say May 1st of 2019 terminate parental rights?
Mm-hmm.
Now she's off living her happy little life and doesn't realize the kid's missing because she's lost right to visitation or FaceTime or any of that.
Mm-hmm.
How do we know they didn't have a fight, her and Adam? Screw you. You're never talking to Harmony again. I don't care. I'm off in my new life. You know, we don't know if she even realized that the kid was missing. That when you lose rights, you're not getting authorities telling you what's going. Authorities meaning DCYF telling you what's up with your daughter.
Okay,
so that could be why. I'm not defending her. I promise.
No, but when she said it's confirmed, she made these reports. I have never, ever, ever, ever seen any records about reports to, like we call it DHS here, that are public. Nobody would know. Like I could tell you, okay, my neighbors, they have 2 kids. I could tell you right now, oh, I call them every day. I call them every day. Oh, those people are doing terrible things to the kids. How would you know? For one, they're not doing anything to the kids. It's an example. You wouldn't know. It's not public.
You wouldn't know. The only time you really hear about these cases is when there's some kind of police or DCYF negligence expected or thought in some way. So, like, I can distinctly remember a case that I have to be very careful because I actually worked this case where there was a kid that a judge sent back to mom and dad with a fractured skull. And it was all over the news. It
Mm.
was wow. And so we all heard about it. And it was like, are you serious right now? Like, why would this judge do this? In that case, again, it was this minimum standard of care, which I've talked with you about before when I was talking about the Duggars. But
Hmm.
there's this law above the judge, and I would imagine the judge wasn't happy making that decision, but because of that law, he had to do that. So normally, we get calls, so many calls every day, and that doesn't go out into the world, and no one hears about it. But when a kid ends up seriously injured or hurt or whatever, that's when you hear about it. And while the minor's name may be redacted, the case gets on the news anyway. And it's DCOF is horrible, which I'm not saying that DCOF never screws up. DCOF screws up. So doesn't the police department. But a lot of the reason that these screw ups happen is because our hands are tied. I have showed up at clients' houses at 2 o'clock in the morning because
Hmm.
something in my gut told me she's using again. And because I'm the case manager, I can show up at your house at 2 a.m. And
Right.
that is how I've gotten custody of a kid. But when you look at a person that has 30 cases on their caseload, their
Hmm.
job is to basically micromanage this family and make sure that nothing sneaky is happening. And they're setting their alarm for 2 a.m. to go show up at a house 45 minutes away and
And
hope tonight,
if they're not compliant, or they're just putting their best face forward, how do you know?
or if they open the door, you can't barge the door down. On
Because you're
top of
not
that,
law enforcement. You're not law enforcement.
right. And that's the other thing. There's safety to consider here. You knock on that door. Now, in that particular case, I knew it was a single mom. I knew we were well bonded. And
Mhm.
I knew that there was no physical issue. But I can tell you, I wouldn't want to knock on Adam's door at 2 a.m. He is physically bigger than me. So there's
And I
that.
wouldn't want you to either, especially now that he's got that teardrop tattoo.
Oh, yeah, that teardrop is really cheerful.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Eileen, when did she go missing? She went missing in 2019. Now, I have a couple of questions. I want you guys to all help me here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go back through this. Since then, Sori told authorities she got sober. Okay, we heard all that. Um, she's not the first person that's had to deal with addiction. I'm really tired of people leaning on that as a reason to not take care of their children. Just my opinion. During their search the last 2 weeks, police spoke to Adam's brother, Michael Montgomery. He told them Adam was physically abusive to Harmony and gave her a black eye. Okay, so did the uncle. Kevin's the one that's been speaking out too. So I'm assuming that's what the charges are about because these eyewitnesses, I'm wondering where they found the dirt bag. Oh, there he is. Okay, there he is. Look at that mugshot, guys. He said, according to court documents, Adam told him at the time around July of 2019 that I bashed her around the house. Why did not anyone call 911 right then or protect this little girl? I mean,
I,
I realize I'm preaching to the choir, but I need someone to help me here. Adam was allegedly angry at Harmony, who was 5 years old, because she was supposed to be watching her infant brother. That's a good job for a 5-year-old. But he started crying, and that infuriated her father. The uncle also said Adam spanked his daughter, forced her to stand in the corner for hours, and ordered her to scrub a toilet with her toothbrush. Another good job for a 5-year-old. Are you surprised by any of this, Aaron?
oh no, not at all. We see this every day. Um, you have to understand that a lot of times it's the whole family has a cycle and history of this kind of thing. Um, this is tame. I mean, it's not tame that this poor kid has been missing for 2 years, but that level of punishment we see every day. It's awful.
It's
It's
disgusting.
why therapists and social workers burn out because the stuff that you hear about and see, it's disgusting. And nobody in the house is going to call if that's the family norm. they're going to want to handle it internally because maybe they've got their own warrants or their own problem, or they don't want retaliation. And now he's going to call on my kid. That stuff happens. I can't tell you how many times we get false reports because this one's mad that this one called about my kid. It's like trying to untangle so much. It's, yeah. So no, I'm not surprised about the level of the punishment.
No.
You or I would be calling 911. But
I wouldn't think twice about it. And the real Sharon has a question. When was this reported? Just a few weeks ago. Just a few weeks ago. So then I go back to the chief of police, and he gave a press conference yesterday. I think it was yesterday afternoon. And he said, it's time to grow up. This is a 7-year-old child, because she would be 7 now. And he said, I don't care, like, basically who you hang around with, what warrants you have. It's time to grow up and tell us what's going on. So I'm assuming this is the pressure he was trying to put on the family who have been covering this up. I really hope there is charges that come down on the people that covered it up. I have a feeling there won't be, because then it suppresses people from doing the right thing, even when it's too late, unfortunately. So we go to this.
Well, I doubt there'll be charges because I would imagine the uncle's not a mandated reporter.
Yeah, and neither's the brother, Michael.
Right.
So we go to this. On December 31st, police found Adam Montgomery's current wife, who said she hadn't spoken to him since mid-November 2021. All right, so current wife, when did you last see Harmony? She told investigators the last time she saw Harmony was sometime in November or December of 2019. Did this woman not wonder the whole time? And she's got a baby with Teardrop. Did she not wonder where Harmony went? Where did she think Harmony was?
Well, Teardrop's got a history, so Teardrop can say they put her back in foster care. That's solved.
Oh, no, it gets better, because Teardrop said he was driving Harmony back to her mother. The mother,
right.
Yeah, the bio mother. See how they're playing ping pong? They're all going back. It's like ping pong in an octagon. Everyone's got a story, but nobody cared to get to the bottom of it. Nobody cared to verify what was really going on. All right, so the mother said that never happened. Hours after interviewing his wife, police finally found Adam Montgomery and his new girlfriend sleeping in a car in Manchester.
Oh, good.
She told officers Adam has never talked about Harmony. Well, that's not really a way to land a new girl, especially when you're trying to get them to live in your car, Teardrop.
Manchester has this whole street. It's called Elm Street. And right off of Elm Street is this car place where everyone sleeps in their car. I'm dead serious.
Good God. And it's cold.
Great place for kids too. There is a huge homeless problem in Manchester, I will say that. But yeah, great atmosphere for any kids. Now, here's my thing is that if he got legal custody back of Harmony, and we're assuming he did, they don't just drop it. They have to do a transition plan. Somebody should have been checking and say, how are things going with your new they don't just, here's full custody, we're going to be out of your life permanently. And that's where my concern is. Where the hell was DCYF on the back end of this? There's no way Adam said, hey, come do my home inspection in my 1988 Plymouth Reliant. He has to have a house, a shelter, even the tarp thing. A car is not minimum standard of, okay. So that's where was DCYF on that end of it?
Because it was just him and the girlfriend. They're both adults, but his wife has the baby. So I'm assuming they actually had a roof over their head.
Right. Maybe the wife has it together a little better, and Teardrop and the girlfriend are in the car. But that still doesn't tell me who from DCYF is Harmony's case manager. That's the person they need to talk to. Harmony's case manager from DCYF. That's the
Well,
one who's going to
actually,
know
I've got
the
an
most.
article I'm going to put up because the governor doubled down this morning and said there is not a problem there, that they did their due diligence. I'm going to put that up in a second after I get through this.
Well, the governor likes to double down here, just so you know.
Okay. Not saying that I like politicians at all because I love to chew them up.
Uh,
Um, Adam first told police Harmony was fine and he had seen her somewhat recently, but then allegedly contradicted himself later, telling police he hadn't seen her since her mother came to pick her up in Manchester around Thanksgiving of 2019. He then stopped answering questions and says, I have nothing else to say. How convenient. How convenient, Teardrop. When police told him they were worried she might not be alive, they said Adam did not exhibit much emotion or reaction to this. Investigators arrested him on Tuesday. All right, so number one, I'm going to say it's a tie for number one who failed her. That's her parents. That goes without saying.
yeah. Yep.
That goes
Definitely
without
number
saying.
one.
The governor basically said, like, before he became governor, that's what politicians do. There's no reason even reading this article, that the whole system was a mess, and with his administration, it's been cleaned up. There is no problem. Harmony was not failed by them at all. Well, again, Harmony was failed grossly by her parents. Now, when they both decided, to get into the world of drugs, and Harmony and Jameson went to foster care, thank goodness Jameson, I will put this up from the man that adopted him and his husband. Hang on, just give me a second. Where she slipped through the cracks from there, I don't know. And I'm kind of wondering when exactly, or if Adam, I keep calling him Teardrop because I can't get over that tattoo on his face. He's going to break and tell him where she's at. Okay, so this is Blair Miller, and he is a news anchor in Washington, D.C. He said, we've been asked this question repeatedly and understandably. Why did we not adopt Harmony and Jameson together? When we adopted Jameson, which odd to me that Crystal acts like she's recovery mother of the year, yet she let her son be adopted out. Anyway, when we adopted Jameson, Harmony had already been reunited with family. Jameson had not, so we were able to adopt just him. Harmony's case was closed. Please bring awareness to her case. It's devastating. So he shared her missing poster.
All right. Well, this guy I feel like has a little bit of credibility, and he's saying Harmony's case was closed.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
This
super
is the
nice
news
guy.
anchor.
Both him and his husband, and I think they've adopted more than Jameson. I think they have other children they've adopted.
Well, he's going to know this.
Mm-hmm.
If he's saying the case was closed, let's just use that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
That means to me that somewhere well before February, DCYF got involved to make a permanent placement plan for Harmony. Probably did jail visits. All the time that the visits were happening, he's in jail. He gets out of jail. They have to do 6 more months of follow up to make sure everything's fine. What does that land us in? February to right around October. DCYF closes the case. She's fine with dad, and boom, as soon as they're out of his life, and dad is with the wife, so it looks like this happy little family.
Mm-hmm.
They close the case thinking, okay, Harmony's fine with the wife, the new baby, whoever, the one the wife has now. Away we go. It could be literally 2 weeks later, enter girlfriend, wife leaves, boom, everything falls apart, and now
Right.
we've got a problem. So that could be why. And at that point, DCUAF has followed. You can't track them forever. You're only allowed that year for a permanency placement. Now, they would get involved if another call was made, they'd reopen it. But if this anchor, who is obviously, I'm thinking credible, is saying the case was closed, this is a news anchor. They're going to be very specific with their words. The case was closed, to me, says DCUAF was done, out of the picture.
And I totally believe him because, I mean, he's saying people
I do
keep
too.
asking me, and he has no reason to lie. He's not
Right.
a child abuser. He's not in this entanglement of people that don't do the right thing. And when the chief yesterday, I think his name is Chief Alderman, let me look at my notes again. I mean, he said, do the right thing. He knew enough people knew what was going on that he could get to the source of it. But a lot of the family has taken to social media. There's one cousin from Crystal's side that was asking people to direct message her on Facebook and give her tips. No, that is not how it works. There is a phone number at the bottom of the screen. Harmony Montgomery Missing. Call Manchester, New Hampshire. There's the phone number. 603-203-6060. No reason to call the cousin. That's ridiculous. Another family on Facebook, gotta love it, got involved. She wasn't really missing for 2 years. Just the mother hasn't seen her in 2 years because she has no custody. My aunt seen her and her dad outside holding a homeless sign, eating a sandwich, and drinking water in August. She called and told the police. I don't know if I believe that because I think that the police would have gone out there and seen a child holding a sign and they would have called social services and had her put in a safe spot. But now he was found living in a car with a new girlfriend. How do these people pick up, how do you convince someone, hey, leave your great life and come live in the car with me? I'll never understand. But somehow he's got away with the women. So anyway, I don't know if I'm trusting this source at all.
Oh, I'm not trusting this source at all. Where was your aunt and you way before this? Get out of here. Get. I mean, really. The other thing is, remember, the social services looks at other family members. So if you have a solid, their shits together family member, we're going, okay, grandma, please take granddaughter. We're looking at anyone in the family who's got it together. So my guess is that if Jameson went to a news anchor across the country, there's no one suitable in that family,
Mhm.
period. So I don't, your sandwich thing is lovely, but no, where were you? Where was your aunt? You
Yeah.
obviously,
I mean, the aunt sees them on the corner eating a sandwich and
and just
drinking
drives
water,
by.
holding a homeless sign. And instead of saying, hey, get in the car with me, I'll get you somewhere safe, she calls 911. And now this was in August, we're in January, and it gets put on Facebook. I'm telling you what, this bullshit telling Facebook, I don't like Facebook, period, makes me want to beat my head against the wall because you can say anything. All right.
Yeah, it's for attention. You want attention. Oh, I
Mhm.
know something. I know about the sandwich day. You know what?
Yeah.
You're exactly right. Put the kid in the car. Take the kid home. You're the aunt. Take the kid home. Call DCOAF. Hey, listen, this is my niece there, or my second niece, or whatever the relationship is. She was out. She's homeless. She can't be in a shelter with her father because they don't allow. That's one real big problem. When a
Mhm.
man has custody, and it could be a great man who's down on his luck and he's homeless, right? But you can't put a man in a woman and children's shelter. So if the mother's out of the picture and the man's the only one, maybe he's trying to be the greatest dad in the world. We're going to give Teardrop a pass for a second. But
Mhm.
he can't go into a shelter and keep his kid because he can't have a man with children. So in that case, you'd have to separate and say, okay, we're putting Harmony in foster care and you can go to a men's shelter. It wouldn't mean he'd lose legal rights. Now he'd have to get a case plan where he finds subsidized housing and gets housing and all that. But we would stay involved and keep working with him. If he wasn't using, he's got to be able to pass drug tests. If he was doing all the right things and just happened to be stumbling, we would have still been able to help at that point. But she would be warm, or in that case, cool because it was August. But you know what I mean? She would be taken care of. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about the timeline to be able to give you good answers because the timeline really is sketchy.
Oh no, I get you. The whole thing is messed up. It's really
Yeah.
messed up. Crystal Sims, how you doing, Crystal? I haven't seen you in a couple days. She said, Brooks, have you seen her TikTok? I believe her. The mom or the aunt? The mom? Because I mean, the mom, I believe lost rights or something. I don't know, but there is a post from the mom. Thank you so much, everybody. When I'm allowed to tell more, I will. But for now, what I will say is DCYF in New Hampshire failed my daughter. Now, I think she needs to get some onus in this, guys. I'm not trying to be too harsh, but I really think she needs some onus in this. She is the parent. Adam is the parent. We know Adam's in jail. We know Adam failed, but we just can't put everything off on a government service. I will fight to bring her home or fight for justice, but right now I'm trying to stay positive and cooperate and pray every minute for my firstborn, my sweet, sweet Harmony Renee. Oh no, I mean, I get it. People fall on hard times and things like that. But I mean, in 2 years, you don't just not see your child.
Well, you do if you lost custody or signed away a
And
right.
if you lost custody and you have no rights, there's really nothing you can do. Honestly,
Right.
that'd be like
Don't show
kidnapping.
back up with sweet Harmony Renee. Don't do it. You quit your kid. And you can be proud that you quit your drugs as well, but you quit your kid. So get out of here. Just stop. I mean, I'm glad she wrote to the mayor of Manchester if she did.
And Hybrid says apparently she's been trying to see her. Well, I mean, according to what we read today, she could have started reunification. She didn't show up to one visit. So I don't know what's going on here. All I'm looking at is what we've been provided. And what's provided to me is by someone that's in the case. They're showing a certain side. They're not showing all the ugliness. But you certainly don't jump up and say that the government failed my baby. The government failed my baby. You had the baby. You and Adam. Uncle Sam did not have your baby. So stop. Crystal, hang on. I love her comments. What I'm confused about is how did mom have Harmony in 2019, but Jameson was adopted out around the same time? You have to lose custody for 12 to 18 months. It makes no sense. Jameson and Harmony were in foster care. Harmony was in a reunification program with Adam. That's been documented. And the news anchor and his husband were only allowed to adopt Jameson. They've come out publicly and said that they were willing to adopt both because they wanted to keep the siblings together.
And if I had to take a guess, he was born with drugs in his system, which would expedite that process.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a guess.
The real Sharon, she wants to know, this is a good question for you, Aaron. Who decided the father was fit? Everything I read was just that he went to all the meetings when he got out of jail. He missed one because of weather. He passed his drug tests and he got reunified with Harmony. And this started in February of 2019. And the last verifiable time anyone saw her was October of 2019.
Are you asking me that?
Yeah. So who decides if they're fit or not? Does it go before a judge or how does that work?
Yeah. Okay. So what happens is that at some point there's a permanency plan set up. And obviously in this case, it was reunification. So what would happen is that Adam would be assigned a case manager. Actually, the case manager is assigned to Harmony, but to the family who is working with them regularly. My guess is that there are frequent jail visits because you've got to keep that relationship going. And jail visits sound awful, but they're really not as bad as it may, especially in New Hampshire. There is like a playroom at the jail. Like it's not as awful as you might think. There are kids all over the place because tons of kids are in this situation. And the case manager is there teaching them like, would this be, how could you help her learn her letters today? Harmony, draw your dad a picture. Those kind of things would be happening. So my guess, again, it's a guess, guys. I'm not involved with this case, but my guess is that dad did everything right. And I can tell you this happens. You can have a parent who has a substance abuse problem that loses custody temporarily and their kid gets put in foster care, and that turns them around. They're in jail. They're sober because they can't get access to the drugs in jail. They're not living in that environment where they were doing the drugs, and they can, it's almost like that come to Jesus moment where they're scared and they don't want to lose custody. They are a good parent, or they want to be a good parent, and they don't have the skills and tools to be one. So they will work with you. They will absolutely do everything you need them to do. Missing a visit over weather is completely acceptable. A
Mhm.
case manager quickly learns whether or not the parent is serious and trying or not. And so what will happen is that that case manager will work with what is called a CASA. That's a court appointed special advocate for children. That CASA, also known as a guardian ad litem, in a case where it's low income, it's going to be a CASA because it's free. A guardian ad litem is usually a private paid person who's also an attorney. But either way, that guardian will make a recommendation to the court based on meeting with Harmony, based on meeting with Adam, based on meeting with anyone else that would be involved. If she was a little older, it may be like people on an IEP team or something. But that guardian ad litem, again, it's called a CASA. You guys can, CASA.org is where the organization for this is, would make a recommendation based on he's done everything that case manager said. He's met every milestone of the treatment plan. He's testing negative for drugs. He's actively engaged when they're together. They're great together. Harmony wants to be with him. Like, she may not even be vocalizing that, but you can see she's excited. Like, oh, we're going to see daddy today. Those kind of things. Then now we go to his house, we do a home visit, everything looks good, minimum standard of care, the kid's happy, the house is clean, all of those things. He's still tested negative, still tested negative. Eventually, you go to a permanency hearing. Okay, you now have full legal custody of Harmony. At
Mhm.
that point, we might as well, we're just out. We can't, there's nothing else you can do once all those steps have been completed. That
Right.
does not mean that they don't turn around and this could happen. I have seen, though, many parents, and I have one particular in mind, that will absolutely go on. I've got a kid that's 8 or 9 years ago, is flourishing with her mother, who her mother was in jail, and it started, and we went through that whole process. And her mother is a business owner who is well respected in the community. This kid is fantastic. So it can work. But DCYF does not have a crystal ball, and we don't have the legal right to be able to go, you know, I saw them on the street holding a homeless sign. I want to go busting back in. Someone has to make, well, in that case, I guess you could, because you'd make your own report. But you know what I mean? Like, we don't have any way to know that, oh,
No.
he started using
But you
again.
like you said, it's called minimum standard of care. You don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. I'm sure we want the rules to be different, but at
Yep.
the end of the day, they want kids back with their parents. And sadly, in some situations, these things happen and it's disgusting and it's 100% on the parents. I'm sorry, it is on them. I want to address this. Crystal said the dad was in jail for attempted murder in 2015, 16, 17. How do you have a baby in 2019? I don't know who had a baby in 2019 because Harmony, I mean, she would be 7 years old now. If you mean Crystal's new baby, that's with another man. Unless you're asking how his new wife has a baby. But I don't, she has a baby and she says it's theirs together. I don't know when the baby was born. I have no idea. The real Sharon, how long after jail did he get here? How long did they keep an eye on him? I don't agree, Brooks. I don't agree either. I don't agree either. No, I think they should have waited a lot longer to give him custody.
The problem is the clock starts. The clock starts. The minute
Right.
that the case has to, the minute, let's say, I don't remember her name, but the mother signed off rights, the clock starts. We have to find another placement. We can't just leave a kid lingering for a million zillion years in foster care. Look how damaging that is. 9 homes for those 2 kids.
Mhm.
We've got to try to get them into an adoptive home. I mean, or ideally, in the theory, you're supposed to want to get them with their family. I can tell you personally, on a personal level, I hate that because I always feel like, yeah, and they're still going to be connected to this toxicity, but that's the law. So you're looking at grandma. Even then you're nervous because you're like, wait a minute, if grandma's kids like this, what the heck was grandma like? You do think that. But
Mhm.
then again, that's not always the case. So the clock started ticking at whatever point that Harmony or that Crystal, I don't know her name, but that the mom lost custody, the clock started. So even if he was in jail, and he's not going to act crazy in jail. He's not going to be using in jail. I mean, he might be, but less likely than he would on the street. So it's not even a realistic picture, but because the law is the clock has started and you only have a year. Sometimes you can get an extension, it's 18 months, but in most cases, a year to place a kid permanently. And
Right.
that's to avoid that 9 placements.
And I totally understand that. And
Yeah.
like, Sharon said the state failed her too. Well, they absolutely did. What I'm saying is the main ones that failed her are her parents. And as far as the clock stopping, nobody can change that. That takes an act of Congress. So everyone, when you go to vote, figure out what you're really voting for. Because I don't like to get into politics at all, but I haven't really ever seen anyone campaign on changing child protective laws. Never seen anyone
I
campaign
haven't
on
either.
that.
I haven't either, and I'm in the field, so don't feel
Yeah,
bad.
never seen it. Never seen it.
No.
And it's something that I always look for. It's like, what are you going to do about these children that slip through the cracks? And it's crickets. There's so much red tape, and like you said, it starts the clock, and they want them back with their family, whether it's because of money. But I mean, think about little Harmony's life in Jameson's life. He's got a good life now with his adoptive family, but I mean, imagine being 5 years old and you've had 9 different homes, 9 different strangers. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Right. And those 9 different homes, right? You're not going to have that. You're assuming, because I know what it's like to place a kid, that you can't get foster care always in the same town. So now you're jumping them around schools. So right when they get a peer support network that they like and they're finally comfortable in their second grade classroom, boom, we're pulling you. We're throwing you in a new school. So that's one of the reasons they're trying to move fast so that this kid has less damage on that end as well. It's not just the foster home is different. You got to acclimate to that. You've got to acclimate to a new town, a new school, a new guidance counselor, a new therapist.
Hmm.
There's so many things. And
Yeah.
so the short answer is that basically the number one person making a recommendation to the judge is the guardian ad litem, because they're not just listening only to the case manager. They're also listening to the family. They're taking in the big picture. But the judge is the one who either I've only seen it one time go against the guardian ad litem's recommendation. The judge is the one who's signing off and saying case closed, permanency goes to dad. So if someone asked me who failed, I think the state failed. I think the judge failed.
Hmm.
But on top of all of that, I think the parents failed. And if Harmony's mother got rid of her rights, she was the first one to do it. She failed first. Then we won't even talk about teardrop because we don't. Obviously, he failed.
Yeah, he's in jail. And I got to answer this real quick.
Yeah.
The issue is why 9 homes, why wouldn't DCYS try to keep them in one? A lot of times the foster families are abusing the children or they don't want them. And
Um,
they say, no, I don't want them in this house anymore. And they've
well,
got
you
to
guys
find
have.
somewhere else to put them. Or
Yeah.
for whatever reason, their house is found unfit. It's not all little orphan Annie. When they go into the system, they don't go to Daddy Warbucks.
I
And
may
so
be.
kids
I may.
get bounced around.
I may be lucky, but I don't have that experience with foster care.
Good.
There have been a couple that have been like that, but overall, actually, I think that the foster care homes that and we know we're very close to these foster parents. We see them. Remember, we're picking up the kids like sometimes couple times a week. A lot of times we're picking up kids every day from school and bringing them there. We're very, very aware of our foster homes. We know if they're looking to adopt. We know if they're not that kind of home, but they're really just here for respite. My guess with the 9 is when you have a sibling pair, they're harder to place.
Mm-hmm.
It's because most people don't, 2 is harder than 1. It just is. The other thing is we have a huge shortage of foster care. You can have 20 great foster homes, but that's New Hampshire is in a huge drug crisis right now.
Mm-hmm.
There are not close to enough foster care homes. And then the pandemic has aggravated that
Mm-hmm.
because the foster care licensing process is so long and rigorous and hard. And a lot of those classes moved to either Zoom, or we weren't going out to homes to inspect for new licensing because you can't go in there because the state shut down and nobody's going in the homes because of, you know, the virus. So basically that caused a log. Now granted, this was before the pandemic, but I'm just saying that even back in 2019, we did not have enough foster homes in this state that were good homes. But the ones that we did have are great homes. It's just that I'm seeing the resources of these foster parents. You've got homes that are only licensed for 4 kids simply because of the size of the building. It's funny to me that a foster home, this kills me. It's okay to put your kid in the woods with a tarp if you're the biological parent, but a foster parent in a 2-bedroom home can only have 2 foster kids. That pisses me off because I'd rather put a kid in a warm house with a bunk bed than stick them out in the woods. And those are the laws, again, getting in the way. We can't put 2 kids. This home only has room for 1 kid. We got to move her. This parent only does respite care. They do not do long term because maybe they're snowbirders who go to Florida in the winter. We got to move her. At the end of the day, you're putting the kid the first place you can find that you know is a good home where they're going to be safe. Number one thing is safety. That long-term placement, of course, you're thinking about that, but you can't always do it because there's no one. The other thing is you've got laws about where they can be. You can't just say, well, Massachusetts has homes, but this is a New Hampshire kid. We've got to keep this kid in New Hampshire. So
Right.
there's all of that too. And if there's not enough homes, it's like supply and demand. Now you could put the kid in a children's home, which is what happens to teenagers. But even that,
Oh,
there's only so many of those in the state, and that you don't want the kid there anyway. It's
no,
just awful.
no. Let me answer this from Melanie. She said, let me get this straight. DCYS lost the child for 2 years. No, her father. Her father regained, he went through reunification. He regained custody of Harmony, and she hasn't been seen for 2 years. Crystal said, but the virus wasn't in 2019. That's not what she's saying. She's talking about foster care and the problems why kids have to move around. It could be someone can only have 2 kids in the house, yet there's 4 siblings. That's what she's explaining. Or like she's saying, like when the pandemic came up in 2020, licensing was a problem because you couldn't go to the house and a lot of other issues. So it's supply and demand. She's not saying that the pandemic and foster care has anything to do with Harmony. Deb wants to say something. Hello, Deb. What's up?
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I know that that news anchor had adopted Jameson,
Yeah.
and apparently Jameson told him that Harmony used to take care of him, and he talked about her so much that that he wanted to adopt her as well, and they wouldn't let him. I understand that the father had his
But see,
rights.
but they want the children back with their biological family. So if that
Yeah.
process have started, they're not going to say, someone else showed up, Dad. You can't do it now.
Well,
Well, he
yes and
was,
no. Yeah. Go ahead, Aaron.
I guarantee you that the father was told that there was interest for adoption. And I guarantee you that the father said, no way. Because you can say they want them with the biological, the law wants them with the biological. We, the workers who have our own thoughts, opinions, and feelings, don't necessarily want them with the biological family. So we are going to say, hey, Teardrop, her brother's been adopted and she could be happy here. And we are going to be very pushy about that in our own way, even though we know that legally we have to give him the option. And if he holds his line and says, no, you're not taking my kid, then there's nothing we can do. That doesn't mean I personally want the kid with the biological parent. If I was in this case, I would have done everything in my power to say, listen, she'd be happier. You'd be able to focus on your recovery, all of those things. And I would imagine that happened. But when the parent says no, the law is, guess what? I have to give them a year to try to get this kid back. Period. And it's horrible. The law is the number one thing I hate about my job. By 100 million. That's the number one thing. Listening to this abuse and trauma and all that is nothing compared to the frustration we feel every day with the law.
Yeah, and the law. And the law. And how do you change the law? The only people that can change the law are the lawmakers, and they're not concerned. So everyone else gets the blame. And after this, mark my words, in a couple weeks, they're going to say law enforcement's not doing enough because they haven't found her. That's exactly what's going to happen. When people do not take care of their children, it becomes everyone else's responsibility. I want to know, with all of these people that have spoken out about her abuse, how come not a one of them, like the cousin that's saying, send me tips, the grandmother that Adam was living with, or I don't know if it was his aunt or who she was that he was fighting with, the uncle speaking out, the brother speaking out, the mother, forget about her. For whatever reason, they didn't find her fit. She didn't show up to her visits anyway for reunification. How come in the entire family, they couldn't find one person? And I've asked this in the Summer Wells case too. Why on earth are Summer's brothers in foster care and not with family members? You would want to put them with family members.
Because that means those family members were screened and not found suitable. And that's exactly what I'm saying is probably the case here. Otherwise, Jameson would not be adopted.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Because that was probably going to be the next question. Because honestly, it takes a village to raise a child. So look, people fall on hard times. I'm glad that Crystal's doing good in recovery. I'm glad that she's moved on with her life. Unfortunately, there was no one to step up because we knew Adam wasn't going to. We can tell because he's in jail now. Foster care, and there are wonderful, wonderful foster parents out there. When I heard the interview with Oakley Carlson's foster family, they are so broken over what has happened to her. They would have done anything to have kept her in their home. But her parents did what they said they were going to do, and then suddenly she disappears, and all they can say is she was eaten by wolves. No, that's their fault. That's not the foster family's fault. It's not the caseworker's fault. The caseworker did go to the house, and they were told she's fine, everything looked good. That's all they could do. They can't say, but is she really? Can I live with you for a while?
Well, it's another reason people don't want to become foster parents. You fall in love with a kid, you get attached, and a year from now, a parent that's doing a half-assed to okay job is going to take that kid away. And all the progress you've made and that emotional investment, you might as well, you have no rights now either. You hope you run into them at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sign up for that.
No, you can't. You can't even have telephone calls. Is what I've heard from like these different cases.
Nothing.
Journey to Justice. My mother had 7 kids in a 3-bedroom house. No problem. Bunk beds. All the answers. Warm house. Food on the table. Because you had a good mama. You had a good mama. You had a good mama. Your mama's not on Facebook right now saying, well, I did the best I can do, but at least I'm in recovery. That's not how it works. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I know people think I'm being hard, but
Come work with me. You and I would get along just fine.
Sign me up. I wouldn't last. I wouldn't last till lunchtime.
I don't know how well I'm doing myself. So there you go. God.
But no, I mean, it falls on the parents. And when the parents aren't capable, then there's got to be someone in the family to step up. When there's not one person in their circle that is fit to take care of a child, they go to the system. And then from there, it's Pandora's box. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. So don't let it happen.
Right.
And, there's some people, they have look at the Turpin children. They had to remove 13 children. Well, some of them were adults, but as far as the minor children went, geez, I want to say there were 6 or 7. They had to be separated because some of the foster homes were in apartments. They couldn't possibly keep them all together.
Yep.
My question is, where in the heck is Harmony, and why is there not an Amber Alert on this child?
That's what I want to know too. Probably because they think she hasn't been. That's the Amber Alert is I will never understand it because there's one for Summer Wells, there was one for Breasia, and there's a certain criteria, and we have them way too often in Oklahoma, and usually the child is found within, or children, within 2 days. So my guess is they don't believe anybody's on the run with her because she was with her father and her father's in jail. So nobody needs to be looking for her. So it might be turning into a recovery soon.
Yeah, I mean, if the father's saying, the last I saw her, I gave her to mom for Thanksgiving, they have no one to think she's with. What are we looking for other than her, obviously? But we don't have a car. We don't have a person.
Yeah, who was she last seen with? Her father. Well, he's in custody. What car was she last seen in? She could be traveling too. Because, when you're driving down, okay, here, it's I-44. And if there was an Amber Alert, it flashes. And it'll give the description of the child, the tag number, you're looking for this car. Or we have a silver alert for an elderly person that, has dementia and, they wandered off, and that happens. And you know what you're looking for. But I mean, they're not just going to come across her. This is going to be, Adam has done something with her.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
But Aaron, what is your take on the Amber Alert?
I mean, I think it can be helpful. I don't know what they could really do with it. I mean, I think we get this kid's face everywhere. Mm-hmm. But I'm concerned that when you come from a family with resources that don't seem like a lot. I mean, has this guy ever even lived out of state? He's living in a car I would guess, off of Elm Street in Manchester. Mm-hmm. Who does he know anywhere else? I don't know, maybe he knows people in Lowell. I just can't imagine that. I don't want to say what I mean, I don't know what harm there'd be in an Amber Alert, but I also don't know what we're doing other than saying, have you seen this kid? Because we don't know who she's with. I thought Amber Alerts, it was with 6'3" man with a teardrop on his eye, in a black truck. But we know where he is.
We know where he's at, but I mean, if you believe the child's alive, you have an Amber Alert because that way people know what the child looks like and you can locate the child. But
2 years is a long time.
2 years is a long time. So she's not walking around anywhere. So an Amber Alert would not really make any sense. They've got to figure out all his coming and goings for the last 2 years. I mean, he's been living in a car. They got to talk to his wife. Maybe he has a cell phone. I don't know. And they can figure out where he's been. That's probably going to solve it. And then they're going to find her.
Thing is, this girl, her appearance in 2 years could have changed a lot, right? Between 5 and 7.
Do you think she's alive, Deb?
It's a hard one to call. I don't think so. I mean, my heart is saying no, but I'm hoping so. I pray so.
I'm hoping so too. And so
Yeah.
if they want to put up a bunch of, if they want to do an Amber Alert and tell everyone to look for this child, that's an excellent idea, in my opinion. Odds are they're going to be pointing out the wrong children.
And the other thing is she's blind in one eye and she needs glasses to see.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like legally blind in her right eye. That would be something to look out for, because you can see in the pictures here where she's 5, that that eye is one like going to the corner. But so that would be one thing that would stay with her, whether she was 5 or 7 or 10 or 20. Like her eye's always going to be that way unless, they get her operated on, I guess, or something. But I'll let you address this comment, Brooks.
Yeah, Crystal said, so the police arrested him for abuse in 2019 for a call they did. Why did he still have her? They didn't get the call in 2019. What happened was they arrested him yesterday for reported abuse that was eyewitness in 2019. That's what they nabbed him on. There was never a call in 2019. That's how sick it is. Because the eyewitness has never called 911.
Who doesn't call when you haven't seen your child in 2 years and all of a sudden says, "Oh, I think I'm going to call, the police department today."
Family secrets. They want to keep it in the family. They think they're going to keep things under control in the family. They've got their own drugs and their own problems there. They don't want the police anywhere around. And then, when things go awry, they're like, "Oh, well, I saw this." Like the chief of police. I mean, he already had a good idea yesterday when he was obviously shaken and upset when he said, this is about a 7-year-old child. Do the right thing. And he was really honing down because he needed someone to speak. And so, they gave up enough information to put Adam in jail. Now they just have to figure out where Harmony is. And I just think it's going to be really, really bad. I don't think this is going to turn out good at all.
Your opinion is she's not alive, Brooks?
No, because her father had custody of her and he's been living in a car with a new girlfriend, and he's made up, kind of like Candace. He's had many, many stories about where she's at. And then when the investigators pressured him, all he could say was he didn't want to talk anymore. He had no more information. Well, you know exactly the information. You hold all the cards, man. You hold the keys to the kingdom. You know where you saw her.
They need to talk to him and say, "Well, here, maybe we can get your sentence reduced if you actually tell us, where she is."
Well, they can't make deals like that yet because he hasn't been charged with murder. They can't. He doesn't have an attorney or anything like that. You can't start plea bargaining. That comes way down the line. You can't. You don't arrest somebody at 7 a.m. and 11 a.m. going, "Hey, I'll make you a deal right now." That's just. That's a long process. But
I want them interviewing the wife.
He's not going to do the right thing. I mean, he even told the wife that he drove Harmony back to live with her mother. Well, that never happened. That never happened.
The wife, though, that's who I think is important right now.
Me too. I think she has a lot of information, and I think that they will really press her. The mom wants to be the hero saying, "Oh, I'm going to take a polygraph." Well, we know you haven't been around her, so you don't need to take one. Why even say that? No one asked you for one. They have never said they're asking her for anything. She's like, "And I'll give him DNA." Now that's important because when they do find Harmony, they need someone to match it with. Okay, that I give her credit for. Okay, I'm glad she's doing that. But other than that, it really enough's enough.
Yeah. The wife, that's who I want to hear from, because the wife was around during the time that Harmony was last seen. The wife left, so she's not a big fan of his. He quickly got another girlfriend, another reason for her not to be a big fan of his.
And so she will tell the truth.
I think she will spill everything she knows, and that's going to be the key to figuring out what happened.
Yep, and she's not doing anything on social media. So someone has gotten a hold of her and said, "Don't say a word." And I'm happy that she's taking that advice. I hope she sticks with it.
I do too.
Because while the mother's saying, oh, all of these people clout chasing, lady, you should not be saying a word. You should not be tooting your own horn or anything. You should
Yeah.
not. Hey, share a missing poster. I get that. Just in case she is alive. I get that. I get that. But I mean, for the rest of it, just cooperate and let them get it figured out. I really think when they get a hold of, it's not going to be so much his cell phone, but all the phone numbers he's had the last 2 years, because, he's been hard to get a hold of. I think they'll have to put a lot of warrants out to get a hold of those phone numbers and find out exactly where he's been. Because the last time anyone saw her was October of 2019, but he's not going to say the last time he saw her. So they've got a lot of research to do.
If he was living on the streets, how did he pay for a cell phone?
People get free cell phones.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. I remember you told me that.
And there's people that they can pick up enough, they can stand on the corner and they can pick up enough money to pay for their cell phone.
Especially if you got a little girl sitting beside you.
Yeah.
That's awful. It's just this is so heartbreaking. What a case.
It's terrible. Terrible. I'm so glad he got arrested today. I was really hoping that he just couldn't stand his family, didn't want to deal with Crystal, and just him and Harmony had just moved off and just wanted to be left alone. And they were going to be found somewhere, kind of a fairy tale ending. Dad got his life together. He's working. I really didn't expect all this, but nothing in these cases surprises me.
I mean, I thought Oakley Carlson, I'm sorry to bring that in, but I thought that was like I thought that was heartbreaking, terrible. 7 months, what, But now 2 years for this poor little girl, and look at her. It breaks my heart.
And she's absolutely precious. Absolutely.
She is.
Every child is precious. Don't get me. I mean, I say that about every child.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how much can a child get in your way that you choose drugs over that child? How much can a child get in your way that you decide to go live in the car and get rid of the child as opposed to doing the right thing?
Here's the other thing. I have probably 50 times had parents, mothers, always mothers, because I'm usually working with the kid. So it's generally the mom that has custody. And at least 50 times, I have gone to a last visit as a mother is terminating her rights to her kid with tears in her eyes because she looks at me and says, I just know my kid will be happier without me. I know it's the right thing to do. I can't quit. I have tried. I cannot stop. I gotta put my kid in a better situation. And those are the moms. I respect that. If you have a substance abuse issue that you just can't, you've tried everything, you've worked your case plans, you've done all of that, and you're at a point where you just know you're doing your child more harm than good, and they're happy in their foster home and there's an adoptive placement waiting, those mothers that do that, they have full respect. I can't tell you what those visits are like. They work on memory books together. They do all the right things to help that child feel great about the next placement. We work to make that transition seamless. Sometimes they stay voluntarily in contact with the foster parent that adopts the kid. That is a happy ending to me as well. It's sad for the parent, obviously, but that kid ends up okay because the parent said, you know what, I'm going to put my kid first instead of myself first. And if this father had done that instead of whatever he did,
Absolutely.
So I don't think that every parent who uses substances they don't have, this doesn't need to be the outcome if they can't stop. There are other options. There really is a system that will help you get your kid okay. Yeah, it's sad, but this is sadder.
But it's a very selfless thing to do, knowing I'm ill-equipped
is.
to take care of this child, but it's ultimately my responsibility. And if I can't do it, I'm going to put things in place to make sure my child has a good upbringing and a proper life. I totally agree. Now,
Yeah,
according
to
to
me, those are the best moms.
Crystal Sims says that is what Crystal, the mother, did, not this Crystal, but Harmony's mother. Well, I don't know. I don't know because I'm getting conflicting stories. I heard that
if
she
that's what she
lost
did,
rights.
then I
If
respect
that's
that.
what she did, then that's great.
Yep, absolutely. Agree. If that's what she did, then I totally respect that.
Me too.
And where the system failed is because then that law where we had to go to dad, instead of saying, you know what, you're moving to Washington and you're going to have an awesome life with your brother.
Mm-hmm. Tamara said yes, and that type of mom will usually turn her life around, go on to have families after adopting one out. Well, that's exactly what this woman did. I mean, she talks about being in recovery. Her Facebook even says she's taken, she's married, she has a new baby, everything's on the up and up. And unfortunately, it's not on the up and up for Harmony. Jameson is in a wonderful home, no doubt about it.
Crystal's saying she's had constant contact with the son. If that's the case, then every slam I made on the mom, it may be that mom did exactly what I just explained, and she's not so awful. If she said, I can't do it right now, I want to give my kids a chance,
mm-hmm.
and then was able to maintain a relationship with the now adoptive parents, and is still, voluntarily, it wouldn't be illegal, right, but voluntarily involved here and there, Christmas cards, whatever, with the son, it's possible she's one of those moms that did a selfless thing. And now,
Good.
2 years later, she finds out her daughter is missing and she's flipping out. At that point, I'm not even real mad at her. If that's what's going on, that turns my opinion of her around. I don't know. And anything I'm saying, like, guys, I know as much as you do. I'm not
Exactly.
involved.
All I'm going off of is reports and things like that. That is not what I have read. And in these cases, I learned the hard way a long time ago. If I take it from the people involved, I'm made to look like a fool every time. If that's what's really going on, and she relinquished custody of her children because she could not get off of whatever she was on, and did not give herself a chance to go through recovery and get her children back, because she was offered reunification with Harmony. That is a fact. And she did not show up to any of the visitations. And maybe she thought she would be better off with her father. I don't know. But since she was part of the process, she knew that Adam was involved as well. She also knew that Adam had problems. She also knew that Adam was just out of jail. So I'm not ready to give her a clean pass yet.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It could be, maybe she's not terrible. That's all I can say. It's terrible that people even get into this position in the first place. And it's very difficult to stay clean once you have a substance abuse problem. And the state of New Hampshire is in a huge drug crisis. Huge. It's everywhere. So this is not...
Drugs are rampant everywhere. And I know some areas are worse than others.
Right.
I get that. But nobody goes to your house and forces them down your throat. And you know your responsibilities. You know you have a baby in the crib. You know you're pregnant. You know these things.
Right.
These aren't new things. This is not new. And if that's, Crystal saying she was in recovery, if she smokes weed, she smokes weed. I don't care. If she has a beer after work, she has a beer after work. I don't care. Her business is not my business. I cannot stand when these parents jump all over social media and they cherry pick their truth. Now, if it was her decision to put Harmony and Jameson in foster care, allow Jameson to get adopted out, because obviously his father didn't intervene, but she didn't have anything to say that we know of that Harmony was getting reunified with her father, who had more than likely worse problems than her and was in jail for and then she didn't she was it was offered to her to get custody, but she didn't show up. It's been in the Boston Globe reported it. All right, so I'm sure she has a ton of regret. I get that she's holding out hope and everything like that. I'm just not ready to have a parade for her and call her a hero.
Right.
Right. And those
I
parents that I described don't not show up. What they do is they work toward a transition plan. Like, okay, our placement is going to be this adoptive home. And they still show up. They have a final visit with the kid. We literally will pay for it. We will say, all right, this is literally the last time you're going to be with your kid. Where do you want to go? And the state has a amount of money if the mom can't afford it, where we will take them to the children's museum. We will take them somewhere. The visit often is an extended one. So maybe they only get 2 hours a week normally, but in this case, we're going to have a whole 8-hour day together. A
but would they
parent that is doing what I described wants that visit. And yes, it's hard for them. And they're taking breaks and crying behind the stack of books at the library. And all of that is going on. But because it's in the child's best interest to have some level of closure, now 5 is a little iffy, the age level there. But if it was, say, an 11-year-old, you want to be able to communicate what's happening. You want the kid to understand this is a great thing. This is because mommy loves you. This is, your new mom or foster mom or whatever is going to let you still meet your mom at the park once a month, whatever. You want to be able to communicate that to a kid. For a parent to just not show up and not participate in any way makes me have red flags about how that termination happened.
Oh, I got red flags everywhere. It's like Kevin always says, they're out of red flags at the factory because I can't find another one. Leanne, my favorite comment, thank you. Kids are for life. So you have to make a decision. If you cannot take care of your child, you have to make that decision.
My question to you, Erin, is would they ask the little girl, who do you want to be with?
Not at not at 5, but the guardian ad litem would be in there a minimum of once a month and be spending a ton of time with the child. Whether that's in the foster home, it would be in a combination. But at the jail, at the foster home, at dad's new apartment with the new wife. So the guardian ad litem wouldn't necessarily have to ask that question.
Okay.
They may. 5 is if, but you might at 5. It depends on how some kids at 5, they're not as articulate as others. At 8, yes, you're gonna ask.
Okay.
That age is just right on that edge of still kind of young.
Right.
A teenager is not only asked by the guardian ad litem, but by the judge sometimes, not in front of the parents, but in chambers, like behind the scenes.
Mhm.
So around 11, they will blatantly, the judge wants to know from the child, what do you want? But a 5-year-old's not going to be directly asked, and certainly would never be brought into the courtroom, period.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking for the child to say, well, I don't want to be with mom, I want to be with dad. I mean, it's very hard for them to choose, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and you just got to realize how much time we spend. An ISO case, which this would be, is 20 hours a week with the family in some capacity. So you're spending 5 hours a week driving to and from the jail and then doing a visit with dad. You're spending 10 hours a week at the foster home. You're spending 3 hours a week at therapy with the child. You're in close contact with the therapist. So the therapist may have said, hey, how do you like it at the foster home? Hey, how do you like it when you have visits with dad? So there's a lot of people involved. It's not just the case manager, the guardian ad litem, and the foster parent. There's therapist. If the kid's older, there's the school system, the counselor at the school. maybe the lady that runs the dance classes, whatever. But there's a whole network, like you said, a village that has eyes on this kid. And many of them, most in this that I'm describing, are aware of the situation within reason. They don't know all of it, obviously, because of HIPAA, but a foster parent certainly knows the history of the child, that kind of thing. So those
But
check-ins are happening constantly, 20 hours a week. But these case managers have, say, 2 ISO cases. There's a 40-hour work week right there. Plus
Okay, real quick,
30
what
hours
is what does ISO stand for?
intensive service option. So basically,
Intensive
this
service.
family is in
Okay.
true crisis. We are at the end of this case. A permanency placement is going to happen, and nobody's suitable. We've looked at the whole extended family. Nobody, it may not necessarily be that nobody in the family is suitable, but maybe nobody in the family wants the responsibility. It's not just, oh, grandma's suitable. Grandma has to be okay with this. Grandma may say, I wish I could take her, but I've got health problems. Grandma may say, I wish I could take her, but I can't because my husband says no. You know, it might not be that no one is suitable, but if we can't find that suitable family placement, then we're going to have to move to foster care. But first placement look is dad, unfortunately. I forgot your question. I just rambled. Sorry.
no, that's okay. I was just, and if the child was with whoever, if the father on the road and the uncle saw her, and they were like homeless, um, I, oh God, I just lost my train of thought. This is
I don't even
just
think they were homeless. I don't think the aunt really saw them standing on a corner holding a sign, eating a sandwich with a bottle of water, and she supposedly called Child Protective. You would call 911, or you would pull up to people that you know face to face. They're not strangers. She knows them. She recognized them. She knows her nephew. And you would say, let me get you something to eat. Let me get you a hotel room for the night. Know where they're at, or you can come back to my place, then get people involved. There's too many things and all these people that want to be heroes in this story that don't make sense. Does it sound familiar to other cases?
The if the aunt called DCYF and said my niece or second niece is on the side of the road holding a homeless sign with her father who has custody of her, DCYF would say, what is the child's name? Open that case back up in a heartbeat. That case is already on file. Remember, the state already knows this family. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to go right back to the case manager that knows, excuse me, that knows the family and is already, you know, knows the situation. And there is going to be a phone call to Teardrop in like within 24 hours. It's not going to be, oh, cool, there's just a girl on the street. Let's not worry about it. We'll initiate that case when we aren't backed up. That case is already, we already know about her. They're going to
mm,
reopen that. Boom. Guess what? We get to reset our clock, guys. That's awesome. We want to reset the clock in these cases.
Mm-hmm.
We are
And get
looking
them
for
away
reasons.
from those people. And get them away from those
We,
people.
yeah, we
uh,
want to reset that clock. Trust me.
also at 5, she would be either. I mean, if she hasn't been seen since October 2019, she would have been either been in kindergarten or about to start.
Well, you think he enrolled her? I mean, let's say the case closed in August. I don't know when Jameson was adopted, but we're going to say the case closed right around then, okay?
Okay.
That no one is telling him you have to enroll her. He's like, well, why is he enrolling her kid in school? People that are abusing kids don't want mandated reporters around their kids.
Mm-hmm. They are
And
that
they don't,
smart.
yeah. Why? I wouldn't, if you're doing something wrong, this is why you don't call when you see the black eye. If there's wrong, illegal activity going on all over your world, the last thing you want is police in your world. It's the exact reason we were able to get him on a warrant today, because there's other charges. And I would imagine that other people didn't want to make reports because they've got their own issue. And he doesn't want her black eye in the school district. Here's a story. I have a son who's now like 22 or something, deathly allergic to black flies. And he got bitten by, I don't know was going on with him, but he got just eaten alive by black flies one summer, and he had a physical coming. I have never laid hands on my kids in my life, was like, I don't want to take him to the doctor because it looks like he was swollen, his whole face. He looked like we had hit him with baseball bats. And I literally was like, I don't want to take him. I didn't know, what the doctor would say. Is he going to believe me? Is he going to believe me? There's not enough Benadryl in the world. And they're going to think I'm abusing this kid. Well, I ended up taking him to the doctor, and the doctor laughed at me. But I really did have that moment. So now if I really had hit him in the head with a baseball bat over and over and made his whole face swell up, I am definitely not enrolling him in the school.
Mm.
Well,
what I
we
mean?
know
Like,
you
you're
didn't hit anybody
guilty.
with a baseball bat, and it is funny that you would bring that up to the doctor, and I know how you are. And it's exactly right, because some people, but here's the thing, people that have nothing to hide have nothing to hide. They have nothing to hide at all.
Right.
Exactly.
They might have some anxiety, like what's going on. It's a world to them. I mean, if a doctor says, step outside, I want to talk to your child alone, it's a world, they assume it's something medical. They wouldn't think they're under suspicion. It's like we talk about, Don and Candace Wells. People are like, oh, it's an accident and they hit it. No. That's not what happened at all. You hide when you're guilty. Oops.
Right.
Mistakes and accidents are not hidden. Something here has gone very, very awry, and it's been going on for years. And I have no idea how long Harmony has actually been missing, but I can tell you right now, Adam is not telling them the truth. And the mother does not know everything that she wants to know. I'm sure she wants to have all the answers. And speculation, and I think I heard this, and I think I saw this from the family, is just going to confuse everything. The only one that can solve this is Adam. And if not, they're just going to have to get digital forensics to figure out where he's been the last couple of years. And it's going to be a needle in a haystack finding her.
My hope is on the wife. I'm telling you, the wife is going to fast forward this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I
But
hope so.
apparently DCS, because I read, DCS had gone to the home and the little girl had a black eye.
But that's what the uncle said. And they would not have told him that.
Okay.
And they wouldn't have reported that. That's what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I mean, Erin's a social worker. She said, no, we don't report back.
Yeah, that's a big problem I have with the uncle. He is saying that all happened and that DCYF called him back and said, no, we checked it out. Everything's fine. That is not what happens. That is not a true. It's not true. I don't know how else to say it. We do not call back ever. The only person that would be informed of that would be people who have legal right to know what's going on with the kid. An uncle has no legal right to know.
No. Because some people actually tie up child protective services by false claims because they've got problems with other people. We see it on YouTube all the time.
Right.
They'll call CPS. That's the standard term. We call it DHS here. So whatever you call it in your state, they'll call just to tie up, just to make a nuisance for a family. People, they don't deserve to even know. It's like, hey, thank you for letting us know. They would not call him back and say, yeah, we saw a black eye, but nothing else wrong. No, I think a lot of people have a guilty conscience. So they're trying to make themselves look good on social media by saying they did do the right thing 2 years ago.
I mean, this black eye could have been an accident. I mean, it just could have. But like she fell or something. But I mean, it could be something else. Anyways, my point was, it's just I lost my train of thought again. Go ahead.
Leanne says the uncle should have reported it. Yeah, in a perfect world, he should have. And also on top of that, we went through the article earlier about what Adam's in jail for, and it does go back to an incident in 2019. So, and that's from his brother and the uncle.
Right.
And earlier I read that he was picked up on a warrant. So over the next couple of days, probably not till Monday, will we know more. Because like right now, they're being very transparent in this case, letting us know what's going on.
Yeah. Now, but it was like, but Aaron, it takes a special person to do your job. I really,
Absolutely.
hats off to you. My daughter is early education educator, and she wanted to go into that. And I told her she loves kids way too much. Like she would get so angry. She'd come home hysterical every single night. Like it takes a special person
Yeah,
to
my
be
mom
able.
actually told me this. Yeah.
Go ahead.
My mom told me the same thing. She's like, Aaron, you're not going to last. You're not going to be able to handle this. And for the first year, I was in intensive therapy just to deal. I couldn't sleep at night because I would just worry about these kids, and like it really wasn't healthy for me. And it was that case that I told you about, the I say girl because she was only 17, but the mom who was 17 years old, and I had no hope for her or her son, and is now the business owner that's completely successful, and this kid is doing awesome. It was that case, watching the change, watching her grow into, I mean, she is the greatest mom. Like I can cry talking about it. But seeing that most of the time we're not going to win, most of the time it's not going to help, most of the time we're going to go through hell for basically not a good outcome. But those few cases where you see a parent do the right thing, turn their life around, you see that kid benefit from it, it makes it worth it. And any pain and whatever that I go through for these kids is so worth it when those times it works, because it does work. It's not always a bad ending. It's just, you just
Are
get
there
used to
more good endings than bad?
it. Sorry. I'm sorry. What was that?
Are there more good endings than bad? Because the public
No.
perception is every case is terrible.
No, there's not more. Well, it's not, stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason. And there are definitely more bad endings than good. But you got to realize you're not in my office or even on my radar unless you've got severe dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are hearing how hard people think that DCOF just comes in and rips kids out of people's lives. And so they hate you for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually the opposite. We spend our life trying to keep families together to the point where we don't want to keep you together, but we have to. So if you're in my office and my job is to get you straightened out, you already have bad odds stacked against you. And I'm going to try everything in my power. And as long as you're going to work with me, I am going to give you every tool I have, probably more tools than I'm supposed to give you, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt as much as I can to make that happy ending happen for you. But more importantly, I don't really care about for you, honestly, but for your kid,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do everything cartwheels to get this to work. But because you're already dealing with a cycle of either abuse or dysfunction or toxicity or terrible environment or bad social conditions, whatever it is, I'm working with an already broken thing that I've got to patch back together and hope it doesn't leak. Yes, it can fix and it can not leak, and it can be just as beautiful as it could have been from the beginning, but more often than not, it's still going to have cracks because we're all human. Everyone's flawed, including the social workers. And where I think I'm doing the right thing, that sometimes it isn't the right thing. Sometimes I'm putting my own bias or judgment into a family and not seeing something that I don't know about because it's religious or it's cultural or whatever, and I'm screwing things up. So we're not always perfect, but the
But
good
you're a human
ones,
too. And how
yeah.
sad is it that we have to have an agency to teach parents how to be parents? And
Yeah.
everybody blames them instead of the people that are the most responsible, and that's the parents.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, when you're
Well,
raised in a home where you weren't taught to be a parent, it's the parents can sometimes be victims of a lot of things too. more often than not, honestly. They don't have the skills. And I
Mhm.
don't understand why in the schools it sounds stupid, but there are basic life skills some of these people are missing. And it's like, wait a minute, you have a high school education, but you literally don't know a thing about, I don't know, how to keep a checkbook balanced. And
It's
something
funny
as
you say
simple.
that. I ran across a girl the other day. I don't mean to change the subject.
Yeah, that's okay.
And like our mortgage right now, we can't pay online. Everyone has to mail checks in. And we were talking, and she had no idea where to even get a check. I'm like, you can go to the bank and get a cashier's check, or you can have them get you checks and you just fill it out. And she had the most confused look on her face.
Yeah, I know. I have one of my sons just finished his MBA, and I said, I don't know, we'll do it in April. And he's like, which month is that? I'm like, what? I
Mhm.
find out he's 24 years old now. He was never taught the months in order. I'm like, you might want to learn that quickly, because you can't live in the world and not know the months, And we laughed about it, but it really made me go, what the? He doesn't know the months in order. Like things you take for granted. My other one can't read cursive. Really?
Yeah,
You
I
better
can't
learn.
stand that. I still write in cursive. I hate when
I do
people are like,
too.
print your name, and I'm like, I'm not 4.
Yeah,
Why
I
in the
know.
hell would
Mine,
I
you got to
sit there
print
and
it.
write in block letters? Andrea has a question, and this is for you, Aaron. How do you honestly know a mother is ready, in quotes, to actually get her children back?
Well, I mean, you never know for sure, but you spend so much time with them that it literally feels like family to you. So if you're a parent and you have a child and oh no, they're not ready for college, or they're not ready for summer camp, or they're not ready for a sleepover. As a parent, you understand your child's strengths and weaknesses, right? And it's sort of the same, it sounds awful, but it's almost the same feeling or relationship. You have worked with them from the beginning, where they're resisting you, where they blame you, where they think you're Satan that's coming to steal their kid. Then they start to work with you. Then they align with you. Through all of those steps, they are showing, and you remember, you do this every day. So you've heard every excuse, you've heard every lie, you've seen it all. You you have caught them lying to you. You've called them out on it directly. All the things that, like, think of raising a teenager almost. You're going through those steps, but it's a grown adult, and you hold their life basically in your hand. A parent that is so sincere and so serious about getting their child back will melt down in a way that you can't fake. They are bawling, dry heaving, sobbing, begging you, please help me keep my kid. And that's fine. You get that from a lot of people who give up on week 3 because they don't want to go to get their methadone treatment or whatever their thing is that they're not doing right, or because they went out with that guy that's been a DV guy, and he's more important than the kid now, or whatever. Things can change. But when a parent starts that way and literally stays the course, when they call you at 10 o'clock at night and say, listen, the DV guy keeps calling me, he keeps texting me, I've blocked him, but my sister gave him my number, I'm terrified of my phone, I'm going to throw it away, so here's my new phone number, because if I get caught talking to him, then you're going to take away my kid. And they're living in that level of anxiety of, I'm not trying to do anything wrong. When they're like, I'm really sorry, I smoked a cigarette, does that count? When they admit their flaws every step, and they just, like, every time they're early, I'm really sorry, it's snowing, how can I reschedule this visit? Listen, I'll walk. All these, like, that is a parent that truly, truly is invested, and you fall in love with them. I mean, you are rooting for them because it's so clearly sincere. Where the opposite end of it is, fuck you, you're trying to steal my kids. Nope, I'm not telling you. You can't tell me how to live. I'm not doing it your way. What do you know? I bet you do drugs. Get out of my house. If my brother finds out, he's going to kill you. What's your last name again? Very different. Very different. And so you quickly pick up on that. And it's not so much that necessarily the beginning, but what's really where you learn is midway through. You're at month 9. Is this parent returning your call within right away? or are they waiting 3 days? Are they still showing up on time every time? How are they talking to their kid? Maybe they started in visits like, your father is a jerk. By the end, they're like, your father's really great at this, even though they hate the father. But they have learned that parenting skill of, we're not going to rip on dad during visits. That's not healthy, because this
Mm-hmm.
child is part dad. When you see them implementing those skills and tools, that right there, these guys have a shot. And with the good parents that want to keep custody and that really are invested, you know what you get? You get updates, because they are attached to you too. And even though their case is closed and they don't have to do it, they're not afraid of you anymore, because guess what? They're not guilty anymore. And they're like, Erin, I know I'm not supposed to call because the case is closed, but listen, I just wanted to tell you that Billy got an A on his first homework assignment. They're not running from you now, because they realize that you are rooting for them and that they're not doing anything wrong. And they just want to celebrate that A with a sober person in their life. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
That is so obvious compared to, thank God you're out of my life, B word,
Mm.
slam, or hanging up
Yeah.
on you, or all the other things we get.
But then you also have to go to the house by yourself. And on the other side of that door, you're obviously not Christmas caroling. You don't know if they're going to open that door and kill you.
Yeah, there's been some scary moments. Yeah, we do often have a pretty good idea of their backgrounds before we go in, so if this is somebody that's violent. We won't work with a couple involved in DV. We'll only work with one parent. So,
Mhm.
like, you would never see two parents that are in a relationship that's violent in the same room. We actually
Mm.
have, like, on those cases, you have a coordinated situation where drop off will happen. There's a security guard. 20 minutes later, the other parent arrives. Visit is supervised. There's like a lot of safety steps taken in those cases. But there are times, I mean, I have gone to homes. There specifically was a case where a guy kept putting his hands all over me, like rubbing my leg. Oh,
Good Lord.
oh my God, you don't even know. And here we go. This is the law in the state, and how wonderful it is here. And this is all states. It's not just New Hampshire. But I said to my supervisor, I'm never going back to his house. He's getting more and more touchy. And she knew, she had met with him before, and she knew he was that way. And she said, well, we can make him go to, we had like an office where we could do visits with him. However, we have to see him before Monday, and we can't get approval on that office before then. And it's a court order that we had to see him before Monday. So you're going to have to go back there one more time.
Mhm.
Now, I can't say, all right, well, I'm bringing someone with me, because it's HIPAA. You can't just bring, like, someone. I couldn't say to my son, listen, you're going to sit in the car in case this guy pulls something. You're going to have to go in there and deal with this. And so there's a lot of stuff that social workers go through that, I mean, I've left houses covered in fleas. Like,
Oh,
just, yeah, covered in fleas. And
Oh.
knowing, like, the fleas are jumping in my hair, and I'm being bit by fleas, but I don't have a choice. And there's no way I'm leaving until I have this kid with me, because she's 3 years old boiling her own noodles. And that is a true story. So, yeah, I don't know.
So,
Go ahead.
but once they are, say they do everything they're supposed to, and they're reunited with their children, right?
Yep.
Does DCS follow up afterwards, or do they just
No, we
close it?
can't. That's the law. The case is
Okay.
closed.
Okay.
So when the adoptive father here is saying the case was closed, whether that's because the mom just said, I can't do it, I'm going to let him adopt and terminate my rights, or the timer ran out. No one can go back and check on what mom's doing, because she's lost rights. The timer is already going for dad. If most of his time got used up while he was in prison or jail, I don't know what his, then we only say have 3 months with him out in the real world, but we've only still got 3 months. Now, in some cases, you could extend that, but not by a year. You're extending it maybe 6 months. So my guess is the clock ran out on him while he was in prison. And while he's in prison, he's not going to do anything wrong. He's not using, he's having lovely visits in the little child area. There are guards everywhere. He's not going to grab your leg. He, he can't grab your leg. He'd have bigger problems. Everything's all safe and controlled there. So then you go, okay, well, now we got to meet at your apartment. We check out the apartment. He's living with the wife. Everything looks nice. They're on their best behavior. The case is not considered an ISO because there's been no red flags. So because the state wants to save money, remember they have to pay for every hour you do it, right? It's not marked that way. So it's not 20 hours a week. It's 2 hours a week. Anyone in the world can be sober and act normal for 2 hours. It's not hard to fake 2 hours. I mean, maybe
Right,
it is.
exactly. They don't get to, you guys don't get to move in with them and see how they really act.
Right. The only time I can do that showing up at 2 a.m. is on an ISO.
Mhm.
If I'm only paid for 2 hours a week, I have treatment plan goals that I'm responsible for. I have to be able to say, did we get this guy a job? Did we get this guy a daycare set up? Remember, I'm working toward him and Harmony having a great life that's stable. So I've got 2 hours a week, and I've got to get this teardrop dude to be a great dad. That's a lot. Meantime, I've got 2 ISOs who are calling me every 10 minutes telling me this and that's going on, and 20 other cases sitting on my desk. And when you're done with all of it, you have to write it all up. And you better not leave anything out, because if something like this happens, you're the one who's got your job on the line. So
And could possibly go to jail. They've done it in California. They've done it in Illinois. So you have to dot every I and cross every T, and you're dealing with lives, that don't know how to manage their own lives. And that is what is so sad and disgusting. There's a question here from adoptionscams.com. Can you have Aaron explain how HIPAA comes into play with CPS?
Well, there's only so many legal parties to a case, and especially where it's minors. Family court is almost always, I think always, but I'm going to say almost, closed, sealed. You can't. No one can go in there but the family. I mean, when I go to court, it's the parties to the case. So it's the parents, it's the guardian ad litem, it's the attorneys, and it's the caseworkers. That's it. No one else legally is allowed in there. I don't know how that changes when a case becomes criminal. And I think it's that when the case becomes criminal, HIPAA's off the table. And then it becomes, we're redacting the name of a minor because you can't put the minor's name out there. Although, look, we've got her name out here, right? But as far as the case, if it was just a normal traditional case, that name is not going to be made public by anybody working with the child. I'm not going to be able to leave the courtroom and say, guess what happened with Harmony's case today, to John Doe public or whoever. I can't. I legally can't speak about what's going on in Harmony's case because it's all sealed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answers the question, but.
No, it answers the question perfectly. It's all sealed.
Yeah.
Andrea has a question. How do you handle that, and how do you separate home and work?
Well, I have other things, other hobbies and interests. Like I literally write books. I have books on some real life cases. So I'm an author. And what I'll do is fictionalize it a little. I have to, because again, of that sealed HIPAA stuff. But I will literally write the book and give it a happy ending because I need that. I need it to have a happy ending somewhere in the world. It sounds stupid, I'm sure, but when you watch a kid that you care about and love get killed at the hands of a parent and you couldn't do anything to stop them, you write a book that doesn't happen. And you feel like at least somewhere in the world, this kid's not going to be forgotten and could have had a different ending. And a lot of times I get kind of preachy in my books about what could have been different with the system. So for me, writing is a major way that I cope with it. Most therapists, social workers, anybody in human services in this kind of capacity has ongoing therapy. It's part of it's required for a lot of licensing programs, but it's certainly required in graduate school. And you learn about self as therapist, and you get coping tools to be able to separate that. Again, for a year, I was having nightmares, literally diagnosed with PTSD at one point over a case that I was working on. And I finally said, I can't do this case. And I just I knew that this particular case was too much. And I went to my supervisor, and again, they're in the field, they understand. And the case was ultimately transferred to someone else. You can't do every case. And the first thing that you're asked, either at a job or whether it's when you start grad school for this, you are asked, what are your biases? What can't you cover? I used to think I could not cover SA. And I actually can cover SA, which is wild to me. What bothers me more is cases like this. I'm still doing it because right now there's a shortage. So we
I
kind
think
of have
there's
to stay.
always going to be a shortage in your field just
Yeah.
because it takes a certain I want to say tenacity. That seems like a rude word to use. It takes a certain person to do it and to put themselves out there. I mean, to go to a home at 2 o'clock in the morning, to see deplorable conditions, to have to take a child from their family and then go through the system and have to hand them back. My hats are off to you, my friend. My hats are
Oh,
off to you.
thanks. Like I said, it's also the most rewarding work in the world, but it also pays trash. Like,
Well, and that's no
you
secret.
know,
That is no
that doesn't
secret.
help either.
There's no way I could do it. There is no
No.
way. No, there is no way in the world. Yes, I have thought about it many, many times over the years. And then I was like, and it's not even about the money. It's about tearing at my heartstrings and me probably breaking the law by kidnapping a child.
Well, I told you about my drive to Canada that day, so
Yeah.
I fully
Yeah.
understand. And believe it or not, the people that last and don't burn out are the you and me's that ride that
Mhm.
line. I have told judges off. I have done things that have put, and I've known I'm riding the line. But there comes a point, and that's what's great about these judges is that they do understand because they share it. It's not the evil bad guy judge. They have the same stupid law they have to look at. They're like, look, I wish I could do differently, but this is the law, and I am the judge, and I care about the law more than anyone in this room. And they're right. And
Mhm.
and so they give you a little bit of leeway when they know you, and they know that, look, okay, she's losing it. She needs to be quiet, or she's going to have a contempt charge. But they're human too. Every single person in the system is human, and every one of us is making mistakes. And the best thing you can hope is that the intention is their best intention. And where I see the problem is not, it's the law, it's the system, it's that overriding. I think we give parents too much benefit of the doubt. I'm sorry, but I haven't liked it from day one that our number one goal is reunification with the parents,
Oh,
because
and
I
I
don't
totally agree
think
with you. I totally agree
that's
with you because the
always,
whole
yeah.
system was set up to teach adults how to be adults. And that's really what it boils down to. You have to get these people, whether it's mom and dad together, just mom, just dad, equipped to handle the life they brought into this world. None of these children asked to be here. None of them asked to be here.
Yep.
So that in itself is an uphill battle because 9 times out of 10, they had horrific childhoods themselves.
Yeah. It's sad. And the thing is, it can be fixed. There are people that fix it, and they are the heroes. I'm more impressed by a person that comes from that and fixes it and breaks that cycle than I'll ever be by the perfect, air quote, family that has perfect, air quote, kids. I'm not impressed by you. I am impressed by the people that said, you know what, I am going to be different. I don't know how, but I'm going to find a way to, even if it means cutting off toxic family, one of the healthiest things you can do
Yep,
so that
just
I
turn
can,
it around. I won't talk to
yep,
my mom anymore. I won't talk to my dad anymore. I won't loan my uncle money. I won't pick my aunt up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I won't do those things. I will stay away from
right.
all of these people. Look at the case of Harmony we're looking at right now. We have this circle of people, and everyone's been complaining for 2 years, but nothing got done. Now they're all on Facebook. They weren't on Facebook before talking about it. Not a one
Yeah,
of them. Not a one of
right.
them. And now they all want to be heroes. It doesn't work that way. And in social media, get ready for the dragon. Get ready. I don't mean dragon as in the animal, dragging, dragging. I mean, this is apples and oranges, but I had a group for Jason Collier. Everything was, he's basically a serial cheater, 2-timing, 3-timing, 6-timing his wife. And this woman named Cecily, she was basically the hero. She was telling everyone, look at me. I told the police force what he was doing, because he was the chief of police at the time when he was having an affair with her. And look at me, I took pictures of him at my house. And she was going on and on and on and on. And the internet was having a great time making all these memes about him, making fun of him. She comes into my group and I messaged her. I said, I'm telling you to lay low, because this is what the internet does. They're going to get bored with talking about him. They're going to start focusing on you, and they're going to go after you. It didn't even take the weekend, and they went after her like the bandit. And that's the thing. When these people come out and they're like, well, for 2 years we've been making phone calls, but you're just now talking about it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Now you're talking.
Brooks, I'm not trying to be rude. One of the comments made me think of something. I know that especially a lot of people that are watching this chat want to help kids. And I know exactly how you can help kids. There is an organization, www.casa.org. They are desperate. It's a volunteer job. It doesn't require a ton of work. It's like 4 weeks training on Zoom, and it's very easy training. It's just basic stuff like minimum standard of care, all of that. You get assigned one kid, and you meet with that kid once a month. It doesn't have to be in the home. And you can literally do this by volunteering for that organization. You do have to have a background check. You don't have to have a degree or background in psychology, sociology, or any of that. You have to care about kids, be willing to be unbiased, be willing to see some of this. And you, as a CASA, you have control. If someone hands you a case that you are like, no way, that is going to be too much for me, you can say, no way. You're not doing this for a job. You're doing this as a volunteer.
I just put it in chat, everyone. CASA.org.
And it's a national organization. So this is all over America. It works the same in every state. You would be the guardian ad litem for a child or a sibling set. They're assigned by sibling sets. And you would have, like I said, the judge listens to your recommendation above mine, because you're the one who's not biased. You're not being paid. You're doing this out of the goodness of your heart. You know the family. That is how you can help. Above all other ways, be prepared
every
to be
state,
triggered,
every
traumatized, and pissed at the system. But the time that your CASA kid is okay is going to make it worth it for you. So if you're truly passionate about this, I don't care what your day job is. I don't care what your experience is. I don't care if you have kids or not. I don't care how old you are. None of that matters. The only thing they're looking for is someone with a clean background who has a couple hours a month to give and is willing to stand up for a kid. And it's all done behind. It's not like the world knows your name. It's all done like in family court. So your information is protected as well. But that is what you can do. Yeah. You too, Brooks. You could do this. I'm telling you.
I actually think that is definitely something I'm going to do. I did not realize that you didn't have to be licensed or have a degree in that area. I did not realize.
No, they don't want all that, because they want it's kind of like a jury. They want a just person right off the street who's going to be totally not jaded like I am, not biased, not going in there pissed off like I do. A person who's literally like, okay, this is just a kid, and I'm going to sit with them once a month and talk about their life. You don't have to do any kind of therapy on them. It's none of that. You're just literally spending time like a big brother, big sister program. You're hearing, you're there at the kitchen table while they're doing homework, hearing that fight break out between mom and dad over the phone. Those kind of things, writing down a couple of notes. You don't have to be great at writing, and being asked your opinion. You are also informed. This is the kicker. You'll like this. You also are privy to the case. You're a legal party. So okay, mom just gave up rights to one of the siblings. Mom, you know everything that's going on. All of my case notes you're reading. So you're seeing the whole picture of the case, but you're just meeting with the kid to kind of more eyes on. If you see a bruise, now you're a mandated reporter. That is something you should know. So you would have to make a report, but that report wouldn't be public. Oh, the CASA told on me. They would know that. That's absolutely kept confidential. So it's just a way that anyone, literally anyone, can help a kid without a huge dedication of time, without going and getting $1 million worth of grad school debt, and without the daily grind of it. And those people are invaluable, and there's a shortage across the entire country, especially because of the pandemic. They haven't been running the courses. A lot of people don't want to take them over Zoom. Well, the courses are back. You can still do it over Zoom. I'm telling you, it's an easy class, and it's actually, you would really enjoy it because you'll learn the law. You'll learn everything I'm talking about. You're going to learn in that. So
I think this is a wonderful recommendation. I'm going to mention tomorrow in the show because, everyone's like, we've got to change the laws. We've got to change the laws. Well, I mean, 8th grade civics says that we can't change the laws. That's for the lawmakers. But there's always something we can do. So if you go to CASA.org, you can definitely make a difference. If you change one person's life, that's more than most people have ever done in their lives.
it is more rewarding. I can't. One person will feel to you more rewarding than there's no better. I am still doing this because of that feeling, and you just can't fathom what it feels like to see a kid that was not even verbal become the most yammering, talkative, cheerful, oh my God, shut up, kid, child over the course of a year because they're finally safe and able to express themselves. That feeling, you just can't feel so bad about the world after that, even though you're well aware that the world sucks.
The
It's
world
just
sucks, but
worth
it
it,
gives
guys.
you just a little, when you get that little bit of faith in humanity, it
Yep.
puts you on cloud 9. On that note, I'm going to end this show because that's a wonderful way to end it. It's a totally dark subject. Every one of our shows are, as we know. Scorpion, any room here for a male, or is this ladies only? Oh, no, there's always room for everybody. But I am winding down the show, Scorpion. You'll have to catch it on the replay. Hey, Deb, thank you for jumping up and chatting with us. I'll catch you in Discord.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. I always love your input, my friend.
Aaron, hats off to you, my friend.
Oh, thanks. And thanks for your help on Discord. I don't know what I'm doing. No clue.
I'll help you out, no problem. Okay,
I
so
appreciate it.
okay, thank you, and have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, Deb's always helpful with everybody in Discord.
Yeah,
And
she's
so is
awesome.
Kathy. Actually, anyone that you ask will, but I'm no help in Discord. I'm not going to lie. I'm
I'm
not.
like, oh, you guys like this, huh? This is interesting. Okay.
No, it's really fun. And since you mentioned that, Aaron, always wonderful to have you on the channel because you sort out the public conceptions to the truth and you have a way of putting it together that people understand it. And I absolutely love it. Absolutely adore you. I'm glad we become friends. I'm glad that you're in Discord. Can't wait to talk to you further. Since we did mention Discord, guys, we love to talk to you between shows. Please send me an email. We'll get you a link and you can come in and chat. And this has been a fabulous show. Every child is important. Every child is important. And I don't love to talk about every case, but I think there needs to be awareness to all these cases. And the answer in these cases is not Big Brother. It's not Uncle Sam. It's going back to the basics, which is who's responsible. I get it that when things go bad, there should be a safety net in there. And I do hope that those things change. I don't have a lot of hope, but I do hope they do. In the meantime, We have a lot of new people in here. Please hit that sub button. Please give us a thumbs up. And we will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. We have another show about Dawn and Candace and their accusations. And then we have another show at noon tomorrow. That's about Anna Duggar. So, and I think we have 2 shows on Friday, guys. So I'm like a one-armed paper hanger this week. So we will see you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Thank you so much for being here. Great show. We have the best chat on YouTube. Love all you guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.